Okay, I'm going to show you how to make a graph of your data in Excel. Okay, it's really quite simple. You can see my dates are here, my times are here, and my tide heights are here. I'm going to select all three of those columns, and I'm going to go to, now to select those, I click away. I clicked on the letter. Okay, and you'll notice there's a little arrow and it's showing you that it's going to select everything there. Okay, you can either click and hold and drag across, which is what I did the first time, or you can click the first one, hold down the control key on your keyboard, and then click the tops of the other ones with your mouse. Okay, so any of those options works just fine. It may depend on if your rows, or sorry, your columns are all together or if your columns are separated in some way. So I'm going to select all of those. Actually, wait, but first, we need to format our data. So select your dates column, go up here to this little box. You should be in the home menu. This little box that at the bottom says numbers, and you'll notice there's one that says general. That's to format your data. Okay, so format it as either a short or a long date, doesn't matter which. I'm going to format mine as a short date, and now that little box should say date. And anytime you click on any of these cells, it should say date. That's how you know it's formatted correctly. The next one over is my time. I'm going to go up and do the same thing, except for this time I'm going to hit time. You'll notice it changes the way it looks just a little bit. It's now got the format that the computer wants to understand that it is a date. So all we're doing here is telling the computer that these boxes over here have date information. These boxes here have time information. The last one, we're going to tell this one that these boxes have number information. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and select my three columns and go to the Insert menu. Okay, and I'm going to go to Recommended Charts. Now, we hit a problem. Okay, we came up with this. There are no recommended charts for you. Okay, now, you get this box and your data looks like mine, the problem is that you have letters at the end of your numbers in your height column. Okay? So if you don't have that, then you should be seeing some pictures of charts right here. Okay, so I'm going to hit the cancel button to get rid of that window. I'm going to click away. If you are not seeing that problem and you are getting your chart information together just fine, then I would suggest clicking kind of through the rest of this middle part of the video to the very end. I'm going to show the people that are having an issue with these letters at the end how to get rid of them using an equation. You can also, if you want, I'm going to show it quickly here, but if you go back to one of the other videos that I posted on Canvas that looks at, goes a little more slowly at putting this function in. I'm going to do it kind of quickly, but there's a more drawn out video if you're having trouble with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I am going to insert two blank columns, and I'm going to write a function to remove the M, the meters, and also the space. Okay, so my function, all functions always have to start with an equals sign. Okay, so equals left, open parenthesis, click on, and this time, sometimes we have an issue with this. I want it to, I need to get rid of that little box. There we go. Sorry. Okay, so this little box, if you click on it, you can drag it around. I need it to move because I need to select this column. Okay, so I'm going to select that column, comma, len. So I'm putting a function inside of a function. So my second function is a len function. I'm going to open parentheses on it. I'm going to select the column again because I'm still wanting everything to look at this column. I'm going to close my parentheses there because that's all I want the len function to look at. And then I'm going to subtract the number of characters that I want to get rid of off the end of my data here. So I want to get rid of the M and a space. So that is 2 characters that I am getting rid of. However many things you want to get rid of off the end of your data is how many characters you need to remove, and the number that you need to put up here. So if you had FT for feet and there was a space in between, you would need 1, 2, 3 characters. One for the F, one for the T, and one for the space. If you had the whole word meters there, you would need to count the number of letters and then add a character for the space in between if there is a space. Okay, if there isn't one, then you don't need to add a character for it. So once I have my characters, so my M and my space, that's 2 characters. I added my number there. I'm going to close my parentheses. That closes out my function. It's done. I'm going to hit enter. And if I've done it correctly, I will have just the number by itself in the box showing up now. But if you go and you actually click on the box, click off of it and click back onto it, you'll notice that there's not really a number in there, it's just an equation. Okay, so to get the equation for all of these boxes, click the little square that's in the bottom right-hand corner of the cell and drag down. And you'll use that function for every single one. And the reason we can't use a more simple function is because we have more characters. We have 1 character here that we're trying to save, but we have 3 here that we're trying to save, and there's 4 here that I'm trying to save. So if I were to use just a left function, I would have to have multiple left functions to get rid of to just keep the numbers, because there's so many different number of characters. That's why it's a left function with a len function inside of it, because we're trying to get rid of a specific number, not keep a specific number. Okay, so with that being said, I've got my equations in place, but if I try to graph an equation, it will get super duper confused. So I'm going to select. Now I'm going to come up to the home menu, hit copy, select the column that I want to copy my data over to, go up to the paste icons, don't click on the clipboard, that's the one you would normally use. We want to use the one that's a little different. Hit the paste with the little arrow, go down to where it says paste values, and click on the first one that says values. Now, your data might come out perfectly and might not have these annoying little green arrows, but unfortunately, unfortunately, mine has those green arrows, okay? So to get rid of those, we're going to go to Data, okay? And you're going to find the icon that says Text to Columns, okay? So click Text to Columns, and it's going to bring up a little Text to Columns wizard. Go ahead and you can just leave it as with the same settings that it has in the first screen. It's got 3 steps, so I'm just going to leave mine as delimited and hit next. Then I'm going to leave it as tabbed. You can see down here what the different options will do to your data. The tab doesn't do anything to mine, so I'm just going to leave it, and that's what I want. I don't want it to do anything. And then last, you can format it as general, okay? And then you can go back and reformat it as a number in a minute. So just format as general, hit finish, and all those annoying little green arrows should go away. Okay, last, even you still have your column highlighted most likely. If not, click the top to highlight the column, go back to the home menu, and check to make sure your data is formatted as a number. Okay, as long as it is, you can click and check a few columns to make sure they're good, but it looks like we're good. So I'm gonna type my heading back in here. I'm gonna delete my extra columns. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of those columns. So I'm right-clicking and hitting delete, and that'll actually remove the columns for you. Then, last and finally, we're going to select all 3 of those columns like we did in the very beginning to make our chart. Go to Insert, Recommended Charts, and you hopefully will get something that looks like this. You can select the type of chart you want. This is what they're recommending, but you can basically make whatever kind of chart you want. I would suggest either a line or a bar chart. Either one of those will work just fine. And then hit OK. Once you hit OK, you'll see that Excel has used your dates and your times for the x-axis, and it has used your heights for the y-axis just the way we wanted. You'll notice that all of your data down here is very, very squished together. You can open up If you double click, you'll get a menu off to the right side that looks something like this. You can look at your text options, and if you actually just click down here in the box, oops, trying to move click here and make sure that you're surrounding the labels on the x-axis, and then go back up to your home menu. You'll have some options here. You can click and make those numbers smaller so that they're not so jumbled up looking. You can get all the way down to a 1, which is really, really small, and it just makes it look less jumbled. For our purposes, we really don't even need to see the x-axis. We just needed it to be correctly placed so that you could see the changes in the tides. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see the changes. It would all come out really strange. So that's it for that part. I hope you were able to get it to work.